what's happening in Northern Ireland now will make some of those migrants in the French jungles now think twice about getting on a boat and coming here.
We have a country to fix. We need to build, we need to be productive, we need to grow. We can't be just sitting on our arse and accepting all this.
The general public has run out of patience, but the problem is a lack of patience and violent uprising will just cause them to clamp down. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Outcast Media with myself, Bruce Unfiltered, Richard Donaldson, and Mr. Aaron Swan.
All right, mate.
Very
how are
good.
you?
Very good. Well. It's not like we haven't got anything to talk about, is it? What a week in politics. What a week in the UK, should I say. I don't know who wants to open up on this, but I think the original question should be, what do you make of Northern Ireland? I think we all understand why, but what are your honest thoughts on it? I know I have mine.
Go on, Swano. Give them
Come on, Swano.
This is what happens when people get pushed back into a corner over and over and over again. I don't condone it. I think there's better ways to do it. I think peaceful in better numbers would have the same outcome. But we've been talking about this for a while now. We all saw it coming. It was inevitable.
We've all known, haven't we? We've known that it was going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I don't really know what to say about it, to be honest with you, because on one hand, I don't want it to happen, but on the other hand, I don't know where we turn from this. People aren't willing to get out on the streets and do it peacefully in the numbers that we need. People aren't getting involved and uniting and voting tactically in the same way. I don't know. I feel like it has to happen in a way, which is sad, really. But it's the state of this country. And as I said, it's just a result of being pushed back into a corner over and over again, suppressed, silenced. It's bound to happen.
Yeah. Rich?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you have to be so careful, don't you, how you word this, because not just for like algorithm purposes, but legal reasons as well. You have to be so careful how you phrase this. I agree with Swano completely. I think if in an ideal world where things could be pink and fluffy and everything was rainbows, the people of Northern Ireland wouldn't have to be doing what they're doing. I don't think it is a race issue like a lot of the mainstream media and the lefties are saying, that it's basically just racist people in Northern Ireland. I don't think it is. I think it's people who are genuinely scared, because that's where most anger comes from. It comes from fear. I think people are fed up. I think people have been pushed to this, and it's incredibly sad that it's come to this. However, yeah, completely inevitable. You can't keep treating a native population the way they're being treated, taking everything off them, their housing, their healthcare, their dental, their jobs, and then expecting them to just accept the fact that these people are turning up from different countries all over the world and behaving the way they're behaving. And I get it. We have our own criminals. We have our own people who go out and rape and stab and all the rest of it. However, we're kind of stuck with those people. Why are we letting more and more in? So yeah, you've got to be so careful how you say it, but I can kind of understand is
Yeah, and I agree, but I've made comments on this, and I agree that I understand why. I just think people are being naive about the repercussions that will come back off of it. Because I think everyone thinks that there has to be one. I believe in patience. I've done this for a long time, like you boys know, and it's not just about me doing my social media. I've been politically active since 2010. Supported a lot of stuff, looked at a lot of stuff. I've lived long enough to see a lot of these governments. This is nothing new to me with Labour. I saw 13 years of them before. Same fucking thing happened. It was exactly the same thing around when Blair was leaving, around Iraq, around all the condemnation that came off that and the protests. I've been here before. I've seen this all before. I've seen protests before. I've seen the violence before. But Aaron, I don't know if you're old enough to, I don't know if you would really remember BLM. Was that a bit too, were you, 2021? Would you have really been paying attention to that? Well, I don't know, mate, because obviously you change over, you might have developed in the last 2 years where you started paying attention.
I only knew about it because it was mainstream media, and obviously it was supported by everyone that, I was in newspaper shops. I've always kind of understood the front pages, but, these days,
Yeah.
Henry Nowak wasn't on that front page as much as George Floyd was. So my access of information these days is a lot different. But yeah, I've always seen it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my stuff. So I think a lot of people carry this kind of idea that if enough people, like 1 million people or 2 million people, turn out on the streets, I think if we could get that daily across cities, you would start to see something. But look at UTK. It happens once a year, once every 6 months, maybe. We know that number dwindled a little bit the second time round, definitely compared to the first time. We've spoke about this before. Rich, you for the longest period of time have been doing protests for the best part of a year with good turnouts regularly, consistently. So I get that the protests have been tried. I've seen thousands of petitions in my time, looking at governments. I've signed things left, right and centre for the past 15 years. I understand people are saying they're not working. But the thing is I think they were. I think they were being rattled by them. And I think it was showing they're not very good at, I don't think they're particularly good, particularly Starmer, at hiding his reaction to it. Because I think every single time a bad petition went through with big signatures, they really doubled down on the far right stuff, pointing fingers at people. I think when they were elected out with the councils, they then started pushing a narrative again, heavily went in on Reform and Farage. I think they then started pushing, especially with UTK coming up, they started heavily pushing that and really calling people out. So I think they're exposing themselves for the fact that this is working against them. I just think the general public has run out of patience. But the problem is a lack of patience and violent uprising will just cause them to clamp down. A lot of people are very naive to the power they have got, especially with the Online Safety Act, the new bill they're putting through Parliament now, with the Civil Contingencies Act, what they could actually do. What actually I think annoys me slightly, and I don't know if you agree with this, is it's not that long ago we saw COVID. And I think where people are very misguided with stuff is if you get 1 million people violently uprising the country, you're going to get 5 million people that absolutely oppose it, maybe more. Because every single person that's disrupted from going to their job, every single person that has a piece of property damage, they're going to condemn it and they're going to go against it. And it's going to play into the government's hands. And they're going to endorse a clampdown because they don't want to see the violence. That's what will happen because we've seen it before. And what it will do is the government are in such a position now with the amount of seats they've got, they can pretty much put everything there. And if they use the Civil Contingencies Act and declare a national emergency, a national crisis, public safety, security, protecting people are the words they'll use. They won't use martial law. It will be about protection. And they then start deploying bills, policy, legislation. And I'm talking things like, I don't think people realise what capability they've got. I'm talking like social media blackout, where they only use the approved channels, BBC, Sky, Channel 4.
How can we be doing this in a free country, though? This is exactly, just going to fuel it even more.
And of course, but then what they do is sanction people. They will sanction people, and
I don't think people care. I honestly don't think people care. Most of us don't have anything to lose at this point. And
but
to be honest with you,
you're wrong, Aaron, because there are people who've got kids, jobs.
Yeah, if you've got kids, I don't think jobs matter anymore because even those working 2 or 3 jobs are struggling. It's almost coming.
Poverty in this country is very comfortable compared to poverty in a lot of other countries. So although people say things like, oh, well, we've got nothing left to lose now, it's like actually most people have, because most people have some form of accommodation. They can afford to feed themselves, stay relatively warm, most people. It's not until people genuinely have nothing left anymore that they will then kind of revolt en masse. So I just want to say that.
No, and I think you're right. I agree with you.
Roof over my head. To be honest with you, because I don't have kids, I've only got myself to think about. And it's kind of getting to the point where working all these hours.
And your missus, she might watch this, and your missus.
I'm a man that will defend his country just like his great-grandfather did. And to be honest with you, if I had a family, I would stay at home and, make sure the family's all good. But I'm a young lad. There's not a lot of opportunity left. So for a lot of people, I can see why they're doing this, to be honest with you. Again, it's just... And it doesn't help. Instead of the government looking at these petitions with millions of signatures and going, right, okay, this is how the public feels. Maybe we should talk about this. Maybe we should deal with this. As you say, they come out on the media and they attack Farage, they attack Reform, they call everyone far right. It just fuels it. It just keeps fueling it. And people, I generally believe we're close to the point where people just don't have a lot to lose at this point. because our freedoms are going, and if we're not free, then what are we here? Nothing.
But that's what I mean, mate, and that's very much my point, is doing this will just make that worse. So listen to this, right? I was going to do this as a video. I'll still do it as a video tomorrow, but I'll talk about it here. A lot of it. So I've obviously started my little campaign thing on, which is going to be like a social media thing, just something else, something that people can hopefully unify under. We talk about. Don't have to talk about it now, but there's a load of people join that group now. They're posting comments, and a lot of people are saying the same thing. Like, what do we do then, Bruce? If violent disorder isn't the answer, if protests and petitions aren't working, and voting. Now, the thing is people keep putting voting into this. Voting's only going to come around at specific points in time. We can't vote every single day. We don't have that ability. So the next set of voting will be in 2027. We damaged them massively a month ago. And I think my personal opinion is, when I look at what's going on in Northern Ireland, I don't see working class men and women doing this. I see completely dressed in black, masked up, balaclavaed people doing it. And a lot of them look like young lads. Now, I'm not past the mindset that this is being instigated by them, so they can drag a few people along who are not really thinking common sense, drag some sheep, let's call it that, will tag along behind this and start doing stuff. They will be the people that get arrested, because the people that organise it will disappear into the background. We all know, we all understand this, because we've all talked about this around Southampton, about how the police pushed into people. We've seen that they antagonise people, and I don't think any of us are alien to the logic that the government would deploy 10 to 20 people in an area to spark something like this. Why? Because an uprising gives them clarity, an uprising gives them position, and an uprising gives power to the state, because they can then sit in Parliament, and they've done it again, and condemn what's going on and point the finger, which ironically and funny enough is when we saw this through Black Lives Matter, the entire left, which is what I find, and this goes both ways, when Black Lives Matter happened, people like myself and many others were condemning the destruction of property, we were condemning the violence, we were condemning the attacks on police. You can't then turn around and clap this in, because so you either have a stance on your anti-violent uprising or you're not. You can't condemn the left for doing it and then clap the right for doing it. And I have, when we stood at UTCAT, when we've stood at different protests, all of us in the same place, we've seen the people there. What we're seeing in Northern Ireland is not the people we've protested with. It's not. I'm sorry to say.
I agree with the part you were saying that like not condemning it, it's not right, it shouldn't be happening. But I do disagree with. I don't necessarily think these are agitators. I think these are genuine people. I just think the Northern Irish and the Irish are different. They're a lot. They've had recent, it was only 50, 60 years ago, there was big clashes there. So they're kind of, there's still generations there that have lived through that. And I do think they do things very differently for the last
I agree, yeah.
last
Paramilitary,
year
of course, yeah.
yeah, exactly. In last year and a half, I've said that I've always predicted that Ireland will be the first to go, followed by us, then Europe. And I think this is real, mate. The WhatsApps I saw beforehand, be prepared to die for your country or go to jail for life. Come, no phone, no GPS, no technology, all in black, balaclava. It was very specific instructions, and that's why they're all dressed like that. I see that as realness.
I've done 3 YouTube videos now that are doing better than any of my other ones where I've said that. I'm in touch with a lot of the boys in Northern Ireland who have been kind of. I'm not.
Be careful.
You have to watch what. Yeah,
because they'll come looking into your messages and stuff.
Yeah, which they can. I mean, I've never done or said anything illegal, but I'm in touch with people who have played a huge role in getting these protests / now riots, etc. going. And this, hand on heart, this was a grassroots thing. It was a small community of people who decided, look, we've had enough. And they're so organised. They had vehicle checkpoints set up, multiple vehicle checkpoints set up within hours. They had businesses shutting up. They had, they were going door to door, knocking to see who lived in there. If they were migrants, they were evicting them, burning the houses. It was organised. The whole thing was organised. And this started. I've got no doubt in my mind. This started as like a grassroots thing, and I think you were wrong, Bruce, when you said that these weren't the people we were protesting with. I think some of them definitely were. I think there are some. You're always going to get a mixture, aren't you? I think there are a lot of people who have ended up on those streets and got themselves caught up in it and thought, "Oh my God, what am I doing here?" and they've gone home. I think there's going to be the people that we've protested with who were, you know, like ourselves, quite central, quite kind of moderate, but not exactly far right. And I think they've turned up and they've been pushed over the edge to behave this way. And I think there will also be people in the crowd who will use it as an opportunity to be disgusting people. I think you're going to get a mix of all of it, to be honest with you. But I think this definitely started as like a grassroots thing, and I think what we're seeing is like it's a very real reaction, an angry reaction to what's just happened. That man who was attacked was loved in that community. Obviously, we all know his name now, we know his history, but he was loved in that community. He was autistic. He was like partially deaf, so people are saying that he wouldn't have even heard this Sudanese guy coming up behind him. And now he's partially blind as well. But ultimately, he was loved in that community, and that was what it took. And when people say, and I'm probably going on a bit of a tangent now, but when people say, oh, this is just an excuse for people to be racist, etc., I disagree, because how many times have we seen in the past week, the past month, the past year, the past 5 years, packs like this, day in, day out? People would have taken to the streets and done this far sooner. This has really hit a nerve for a lot of people, and I think on the back of, you know, we Henry Novak a couple of weeks ago, I think, listen, the more this happens, I think the worse it's going to get, mate. I really do. I was wrong.
I do. You know, we've spoke about this before.
I was wrong a couple of episodes ago when I said I think people's apathy would, you know, I got to a point where I thought, do you know what, I reckon they could do anything to us, and most people would just go, whatever. But seeing this now, I'm not so sure. Recent polls, Ipsos, they put one out, and 65% of the UK public believe that we should do something about particularly illegal immigration. That's turning massively, because I think 2015 or 2016, you can look into this, it was about 35%. So it's doubled essentially in the past 10 years. And that's a very kind of mainstream poll that's been done. And I think it's interesting that even now, when people, you know, the majority of the British public are saying, look, we need to do something about illegal and mass migration. I think it's funny how the government think they can still, and the media can still take to our TV screens and say, oh, this is a far right narrative. It's like, it's not far anything if the majority believe it to be the case. Do you know what I mean? But they gaslight us. They gaslight us relentlessly.
Yeah, because I think they still believe that the mainstream media is the main news source. I do generally think they are still dinosaurs in the media age.
They live in a bubble, don't they? They live in a complete bubble.
Yes, 100%, and we know that. But yeah, I just have my opinion on it, which is watching this Labour government, which all of us have criticised relentlessly over the last years. I don't think anything good comes from this either way, because I don't think it matters how bad it gets in this country and how many people start taken to the streets like violently. They will just come down harder, more sanctions, more legislation, and they'll draft in what they need to the point where they shut down buses, trains, the internet. I think they will go as far as they need to prove their point.
But Ireland are now taking more migrants and Northern Ireland are taking less. That's just been announced today. They're going to start sending them to Ireland instead. So it's
really,
yeah. So it's how you.
So
really,
then Ireland
you know,
are just going to do. So
It's
passing the buck, isn't it? It's passing the buck. Is all it is.
They've emptied
more towards, and yeah,
they've emptied Epping today as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they're emptying a lot of these hotels. But to be honest with you, I think they should all be put in military barracks under armed guard. They should be processed and shipped off. They shouldn't be in these hotels. So yeah, we're in such a difficult position, aren't we? Because they've got to go somewhere because they keep turning up. But you have to carefully word this. What's happening in Northern Ireland now will make some of those migrants in the French jungles now think twice about getting on a boat and coming here.
Yes. So,
So that's
Yeah, I can see what you're saying and why you want to be careful about that. Absolutely, because it's kind of a non-government sanctioned deterrent. Let's call it that.
And I'm not saying I condone it, and for the purposes of YouTube and social media and all the rest of it, I'm not saying I condone it. However, all these migrants have got iPhones. They're all watching. They are all watching. Would you get on a boat and go to that when you're seeing the locals burn down the town that you're wanting to go to? You're not going to do it, are you?
No, there's loads self-deporting already from Northern Ireland, but you would, wouldn't you? You do it. It doesn't matter who you are. You'd always move away from that sort of chaos to keep your family safe.
But that's the thing, Swan. I think they're just going to come here.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
again, it's just shifting it somewhere
I
else.
saw a
That's the thing is, I
picture
think it's just
today.
shifting the problem somewhere else. But
100%. But then if it is their plans, to get us all to kick off so they can shove more security down our throats and control AI cameras, blah blah blah, digital ID, then
Do you
they're
think
just
they
going to
need
do
to
that.
do
They're
that
going to.
though? Do you think they need to, it's already here. They've already got the legislation. They've already got the infrastructure being put in place. Like, they can do it
Well,
anyway. They don't need an excuse.
I know, but it's more like the public acceptance. So
yes,
when
yeah.
when he came out and announced digital ID was going to be mandatory, everyone lost their shit. No one supported it, and I was at protests, and there was people on the other counter protests saying, "Look, we can all unite around no to digital ID." And then it went quiet for a few months. Then the king came out, and everyone's a little bit too distracted with the Iranian war and everything that we're seeing here with Henry Nowak, and now this in Northern Ireland. So no one's really spoken about it, but once we hit chaos, I think the public opinion of it will change, and people will be like, okay, if it's gonna get rid of illegal immigration, if we're gonna be able to identify who has documentation and who doesn't, I think we're all gonna end up accepting it. And
If it
then that
prevents the
opens,
chaos.
yeah. Well, I think the chaos will happen first, and then it will be seen to be preventing future chaos, but they allowed the chaos to get so bad anyway, before bringing in this, what I see as a measure of
But it goes
control.
back to
And
my point, which is they're getting exactly what they want.
yeah, exactly. But I think either way, we either put up and shut up. They get what they want. We we see what happened in Northern Ireland. If there were to be any more of that, I still think they get their own way. So
The thing is, right, and I try and make this as simple. I touched on this today on my show, so I try and make it as simple as possible. You live in a house. In your house, there's yourself, there's your family, and the government say you're not allowed to lock your doors. Okay, that's borders in this. Like, that's a metaphor for borders. You're not allowed to lock your doors. You have to accept in anyone off the street because they need refuge in your home. They can't just stay on the streets. That's not right. So you have to let them in. And if you say no, I don't want them here, they will say, well, let's say you ring the police and you say, right, I want them out, I want them out, I want them gone, and the police go, well, that's not very nice. Like, you're now the problem. You're the one that's in the wrong. And whilst they're here, they're going to need your bed because they need somewhere to sleep. You're going to have to sleep on the floor. And whilst they're here, you're going to have to feed them and you're going to have to clothe them. And if they get poorly or anything like that, you're going to have to see to that as well. And don't forget, they're going to need an iPhone and all the rest of it. So give them all of your stuff. And it's going to be to your detriment, but you need to give it them anyway. Otherwise, you're a fucking racist, okay? Now imagine another day passes and one of the 12 people who have come into your house rapes your daughter. You ring the police again and you say, look, one of them's just raped my daughter. And the police says, look, you're showing a pattern now. You're showing a pattern of racism. It's not all of them, It's just the one. It's just the one out of the 12 that have turned up. So because you're now being racist and you're saying things that could cause alarm and distress to these people who have just arrived here, we're actually going to send you to jail. And now you've been sent to jail and your family are back at home. And more keeps happening and more keeps happening. Your sister gets, I won't say it again, YouTube and all the rest of it. Your brother gets stabbed. At what point do you not think, well, I've been thrown in jail. The authorities aren't helping my family. So what would I want them to do? Would I want them to just sit back and accept it and not give anyone what they want? Or at some point, for their own survival, are they going to have to stand up for themselves? And that's, whilst again, I keep saying I don't condone what's happened. I can't condone the violence. That's where people are at. So when people say, oh, we shouldn't be giving them what they want, I think
I don't want to play devil's advocate here, but your analogy is very good. I've actually used it before against a lefty and basically said, this is what you're advocating for. Would you actually condone this? But here's the thing. We've spoke about this before. Do you ever remember the map they did, the HMO map? It was quite a bit of a secret thing. I think you remember it. I think you shared it with me. So we all know about the HMO map. Now, when you actually look at the HMO map, look at where they are. So going back to your house analogy, effectively what the reality is, the broader picture is now escalate your house up to a town, yeah? You've got one house in that town and no other house has been affected. So the people in that, do you see what I'm saying here? This is very specific towns that are getting this in very specific places, and it's not everywhere. I was talking to this with my parents the other day. We're very lucky. We don't have really a HMO at all in Suffolk. There may be one or two. We don't have a hotel here either. So the vast majority of Suffolk, especially in West Suffolk, my area, that's 200,000 people, don't see this at all. None of it. Not anything. They walk out on the streets, they don't see this. That's the problem. That's the problem. When this stuff, when people go on about this asylum stuff, we see it because we've been there. We follow the media, we follow the news, we go to the places where we see the demographic change. I know people in this area who haven't got a bloody clue about this. They haven't got a clue. They don't physically see the change.
Same as most people around me.
But this is where I go back to my original analogy, Bruce, because I would then say to those people, what if that was your neighbour in another house, or the person across the road that you really like? It might not be your house, but it is happening, and you know it's happening. It's been mainstream news now for the past 2 years that police, councils, child protective services help to cover this up, and people have seen it themselves. So I don't know, mate, maybe it's just because I think differently we think differently to most of the general public. I don't understand how people can see it and go, yeah, but it's my neighbour's house or it's their house up the road, so it doesn't affect me.
But people do, Rich. People do.
I had a family member, I'm not going to say who it was, but they said to me that they will care about it when it's on their doorstep.
Yeah. People do not care until I've said this multiple
Nothing about
times
preventing
before.
this, nothing about sticking up for the rest of your nation, nothing about sticking up for hundreds of thousands of young children, innocent women, autistic. It's always the vulnerable ones, isn't it? It's always them that are getting targeted. Yeah, everyone that's got their life sorted in these gated communities, I'm going to call it that, because they're all just... it's
Swano,
still
even
England,
then,
isn't it?
but that's a very small percentage. You don't even need to go there. Where I live, right? I live in a village, in an area of villages and a town. Yeah, we see none of this. There's no HMO. There's no asylum hotel. There aren't people walking. There aren't foreigners. We've got our locals. I've got friends who are Muslims. We've got Indian restaurants and stuff. They've lived here locally for 30 years. If you were to turn around to people in my area and say, what do you want to do about this illegal asylum stuff? If you took everyone in my town, put them in a room and said, what do you want to do about this illegal asylum stuff? It's a major problem. They'd just be like, what the fuck? I reckon 50% of them would be, one, what are you talking about? The 25% of them that do know it say, well, it's not come here yet.
Is the demographic very retired?
No, but it's very conservative middle class here. Extremely.
It's exactly the same as where I live, and that's the thing. I reckon if you went round and genuinely asked most of the people in your community, it'd be similar to what my family member told me, which is, well, I'll care about it, when it's affecting the people around me.
Yes.
Because these conservative middle class areas, they're doing all right, to be honest with you. They're doing all right, and they've got their cushy little life and their mortgage paid off, and they've done well because a lot of them have been business owners and hard workers in the past. They had a bit of opportunity, but they just want to keep themselves to themselves. But I think they do know. I think they do understand. They're
and
being
they're
ignorant.
not concerned because you're right, because it hasn't landed on their doorstep. And they
Ignorance is bliss.
It's the same with everybody. We've spoke about this before, and you boys we've all agreed on this before. People do not give a shit about shopping prices or what the government are doing. Sorry, people don't care about government policy until they start realizing they can't go on holiday 2 times a year anymore. They don't care until they see fuel prices go through the roof for a period of time. And then they start asking questions, or their oil bill goes up. And it's always too late, because we're the ones who've been shouting about what's going to happen if we don't reject this bill or we don't prevent Ofgem from raising this cap. But they're not interested in that, because they're going about their lives. And what they do is react to the problem after the fact. And it's too late by then. And that's what happens. And if you
I think we're even further past that. Because if you think about oil prices right now, we're at COVID prices pretty much. And it's been like that for what, 2 full months now, 3 months? And no one cares. No one cares. Everyone's annoyed, deep down.
Yeah, you're not seeing some mass uprising.
My wife's family, their house runs on oil, so they have to have the oil tank thing in the back garden.
I've got to do mine.
And when everything kicked off with Iran, I said to them, look, go and get it filled up. Go and get it filled up soon. And they were like, no, it'll be fine. I said, trust me, you need to go and get it filled up. And they didn't. And then now they've got no oil in the tank and it's too expensive to fill. So
went up like 30p a litre.
yeah, they're going to have to, come winter, they're going to like, I don't want to say struggle,
What
but yeah.
there's something even a little bit more concerning for me with all of this Iranian war is no one's talking about the nitrogen and how it's not coming out of the Strait of Hormuz because a lot of European farmers, and there was something to do with Europe's policy. They changed the tax regulations on it. So people in Europe and European farmers mass stored nitrogen, so they're all good. But the UK is obviously not a part of that. So I think genuinely our farmers are going to be struggling to grow crops over the next couple of years.
Yes, because we know they're attacking the farmers from every single angle. And again, it's not until I love the fact that Clarkson's farms come out now, but but this is the thing. Clarkson, the protest, the farmers' protest, yeah, I guarantee you, a lot of people in my area would have known about it because it is a very farming area. But there are also going to be like that throughout the farming community and probably people associated with that community. But again, like I said, there are a lot of middle class, working class. But when I talk about working class in this area, a lot of my mates are builders. So they're not minimum wage guys. They're earning 40, 50, 60 grand a year, some of them more. I don't live in an area where we're talking about people who are hard up. And it's exactly like you say, it's always the people on the lower demographic of the money tree who are the ones who are getting shit on. And we've got people not just in poverty and like relative poverty. There's millions of people in this country in that. They're always associated around the big towns and cities. These are all the places that are dumping the migrants. These are all the places that are going to kick off and be burned. And everybody else in the countryside, and if you look at the UK, there is a fucking lot of countryside, are sitting looking at it saying, fucking this state of this. That's why we don't live in cities. And they're going to look at it, and they're just, and you get this right. They're going to sit there and look at it and be like, "Fucking this lot." They're going on about digital ID and migrants, right? The government want, right? Yeah, let's sign that up. They want to come down on them. Fuck it. We don't care about digital ID. It's not going to affect my life.
Funny, isn't it? Because then the moment the local council say, "Oh, we're going to build a housing estate in the countryside," they're all fucking up in arms and signing petitions and all sorts and.
Yes.
Yeah, fucking hypocrites, mate.
We are. This is
Selfish.
why I keep saying about this awake thing. I think we all want to believe that so many more people are waking up, and I think we are extremely naive to think that. I think, yes, there's definitely been an increase. I have visibly noticed it in the years I've been doing this. I'm sure you boys have since you started, that you've seen there seems to be a bit more, but it's not enough. And I think if you're all looking at your own communities where you live and you really take a look around them, and you're in an area that isn't inundated with asylum seekers, and you're not inundated with poverty and problems, you're probably looking around at the people driving around in their Beamers, going about their day. And it's the same fucking thing. Like, how many of you, listen to this, because what we're all talking about realistically is we need to shut this country some way. We need to shut things down in a way that makes the government pay attention. But I guarantee you, every single one of us, all three of us here, and people listening to this, if Just Stop Oil shut down a motorway that stopped you getting to work, you'd be the first person to come online and say, fuck this lot. I couldn't get to work today because of them, wouldn't you?
Only because why they're protesting.
Yes, because you're more aware. But think of the 30 other people around you in their cars who are not as aware as you are, who are just going to condemn them because they just couldn't get to work for the day. That's how people think. And I think
People just fit. Everyone is thinking small scale. Really, it's only the few that are outspoken out there that are trying to think for other people and get it out there so people could be prepared. Most people just think about themselves, their job, what they're having for dinner, and family. Well, and I can't blame them. Once I've got a family, I'll stop caring about the rest of the world. It'll just become about keeping
and
my
you
family
do,
safe.
Swano. It does. Richard will attest to this. When you got a kid, it does
I'm a bit
change.
of a weirdo.
We know that. You didn't have to.
It made me want to change the world more. It made me want to look out more.
But you're careful about it, aren't you? You're not bullying a china shop about it.
Is he?
I tried to push the boundary as much as possible without ending up in
Crossing
a prison
the
cell
line.
and then not see my son. Yeah, so it's quite tough. Do you know, we were just talking about people being asleep. I love my followers, my audience, loads. So if anyone's watching this, I'm not slagging you off. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Today, I put a post on Facebook, and it was like quite a light-hearted one. And I've been trying to wake my followers up for just over a year now. So on Facebook, it's like 306,000 followers, so it's a good number. And I did a post today which was like a little bit comical, and everyone's commented. It's gone through the roof on the analytics, like in the first hour, saying, "Oh my God, Rich, this is the best video you've ever done.
It's nice to see you smile.
Can you do more like this?" And I'm like, fuckers, I've been trying to fucking wake people up for the past year. The moment I like crack a bit of a joke, everyone's like, "Oh, do more of that." It's like, come on, man, I'm fighting a losing battle here.
We've got to get serious.
Yeah. So I'm not slating anyone, but it's just even my own audience, who I would have considered to be quite awake and aware and, you know, of what's going on, would prefer me to be a bit of a class clown than try and
but it tells you, it paints a picture and I do the same thing, and I've had the same response before. I did a funny video about the Star Wars the other day, about how, just a funny thing about how I wanted to change government, and wrapped it around Star Wars, and everyone was pissing themselves laughing about it. But and you know why it is? It's because, and you all feel this, I know you do, it's because you're constantly talking about negative things, and people constantly hear you talking about negative things. And when they finally see a different side to you, where you perk up a little bit and you tell a joke, they see a different side to you, and it gives them a lift, because you made them laugh, or you made them smile and they forgot about that shit for a minute. Then you go back to, then your next video comes out and it's fucking Keir Starmer. Do you know what I mean? So you give people a little lift, but the problem is giving them that lift. That's what people want, though, Swano. Do you know what I mean?
It is what they want.
They like it, and then they stop thinking about
me,
shit.
I don't know. I feel like I sound quite monotone when I speak about stuff online, and that's on purpose. I want to keep it calm, try not to put too much emotion into it, blah, blah, blah. I lost my absolute shit. Emotion. Yeah, they do. I lost my shit this week after the Northern Irish incident. And I woke up in the morning, I just thought, nah, fuck this, I'm done. One day that's going to be me, it might be you, it might be you. And I'm not going to have this anymore. And the anger that came out of me it was refreshing for the internet to see, I think, because people wanted it. People were like, yeah, that's it. That's how we all feel. Because, don't get me wrong, I've got hate as well, of course.
And this is where I think a lot of content creators sometimes miss the point of it, is they're expressing their opinion through you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're not scared to come. And I'm not saying people are scared to do what we do, but people don't feel confident doing what we do. People don't feel like they can talk like we do. They don't have the words. And a lot of people say this to me all the time, Rich. I'm sure you both see this. You put that in a way, that's exactly how I would have said it, but I just can't get the words out. So when I do my ragey ones, I get like this view. Rich, you've probably seen this. The views go through the roof. Because they're sitting on the end of their phone and they're going, that's fucking exactly how I feel. Yes, Bruce, yes. They don't want to do that on a camera and put themselves out there because they're scared of losing their job, or they're scared. And they'll sit there and shout in their own house like, yes, that's fucking it. That's it. Like. That's what they do. They react through you. And that's what we do, which is why then, again, it goes exactly back to what Rich said. As soon as you do something lighthearted, or you got angry from what you usually are, they see something from you that they live through you. And that's where I think sometimes creators don't miss their importance sometimes. It's not just about giving them the information. Your emotions, you're the voice, and you're a voice of your followers. And they follow you for that reason. And and I get it a lot.
That's why, Katie Hopkins she's so clever, and she was so ahead of the curve, because she started doing like a batshit bonkers Britain stuff, didn't she, in Katie's arms during COVID. I think she realised that people wanted to tap into kind of taking the piss out of the fact that we're fucking burning as a country. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She kind of, I'm not going to say capitalised on it, but I mean she has, but she was so ahead of it because she does a batshit bonkers Britain news update. She tells people what's going on, but she puts like a comedic spin on it. Yeah, she's so clever. She was ahead of the curve, whereas a lot of us, like,
well, it's classic British. I think what she does is that classic old school Faulty Towers, Monty Python, dark humour that Britain is all about. And I think we lost a lot of that through DEI and wokeness. I think we've got generations of people now who just who can't accept that.
It's coming back though. It's definitely coming back.
I think it's trying to, mate. And I think more people, definitely my generation, like when we had like Only Fools and Horses and Yes Prime Minister and all this stuff when we were younger, like there was none of this shit. Rich might just about remember this. I remember forums when they first came out on the internet. My God, mate, used to go on a forum.
You do, Brucey. Yeah.
But you'd be called every... Even it doesn't matter, mate. It could be about Star Wars. It could be about action. It could be about you went on a forum back in the day. Fuck me, you'd get absolutely slated by people on them.
Same as like an Xbox Live chat. I was 12 years old.
He's never done COD, has he?
Rinsed.
He's never been on Call of Duty, has he, Aaron? He's never been on Call of Duty.
I can't go. My mum don't let me go on Call of Duty. The naughty boys say bad words to me.
To be fair, I was exposed to some shit at a young age because of that thing. But it grew me. It made me grow up. It made me toughen up a little bit. And that sort of banter, that sort of shut up.
Yeah, you definitely get it in an Xbox Live or Call of Duty. That's for sure.
But even Little Britain, that was like pushing the edge at its time. It was like, oh, can you say that? But even watching that back, it's like you just couldn't. You're never going to see that on the TV again in this current.
And that's you're talking like early 2000s when they were doing like the security scenes with foreigners, like Matt Lucas and David Walliams getting dressed up as foreigners, like the shit they'd get away with. But it was funny.
It was funny, and everyone found it funny. Yeah. Interestingly, around that time, there's a chart where if you look into mainstream media's use of these terms, so it's racism, Islamophobic, homophobic, all the normal terms, but there's a graph like this and never really got used in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and then in the early 2000s it shoots up. And there you go, that's where everyone got offended. That's where everyone was like, oh, well, you shouldn't necessarily say that, and that's ruined our culture. It's ruined our way of life.
It was when your lot started getting older, mate.
I was in 2000.
You're unique, buddy. You're unique.
Do you know what? He can say what he wants, Aaron, but your generation is the result of the generation before, which is Bruce's generation. So if anything, Bruce, you've been responsible. You and your generation. Hold on a minute. Fannies.
Rich, your generation is product of my generation.
Spin this around.
His generation is product of your generation.
No, I'm only
the last
34.
War generation.
Aaron's 20-something.
8.
28?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, you're right. His generation.
Mate, you're proper wet. I didn't realise you were 28. I thought you were like 22. Wow.
Yeah, mate. The fact that I thought you were like 25. Wet. I thought
that's because I can't grow much facial hair, but
it's not that. Now you're creeping at 28, mate. It is making you look more like a little.
What? Because I'm tired.
Something you'd get called on a Call of Duty forum. Get it, mate. But yeah, but yeah,
Do you actually think I get off here and start crying or something? It's fine. Like you just bore me. Do you know what I mean? I can't bring myself.
Well, we do. We just
react.
don't care. That's our generations. We just don't
care. You say you don't care, but you have brought right. How many episodes have we put out there now? 8, 9.
This will be 9. Yeah.
9, and it's been mentioned every single episode, as well as nearly guys, every day in between on WhatsApp by one of you. So to say that your generations don't care, it's questionable, eh?
But what he's actually saying, ladies and gentlemen,
the fact what he is saying, every single one
checked. It's just boring. Do you know what I mean? It's boring.
But also, what he forget is we always do check in with him afterwards in the WhatsApp group and say, "Oh, look, mate, we didn't mean to take the piss out of you too much. There, Are you all right?" Actually, Rich doesn't. I do.
No.
But like to me, that show. Yeah, I was going to say, Rich, and you're more my generation. To me, Bruce, that's showing the weakness in your generation because you say what you want. Really. I'll take it.
It shows the humanity, mate. It shows the common sense of humanity.
No, because what's the point in being able to make a joke if you've got to ask them if they're okay after?
Well, it's just because I'm very conscious of your generation and how you might go and do something silly because
you're getting soft in your old age, Bruce. That's what it is.
I think you do as well. Definitely change your opinions, change your perspective. But anyway,
change your underwear several times a day.
Try not to do that. Leave it 3 days. Turn them inside out. I'm joking, but yeah. But no, you're all right, and I think we've said this before that I think even as 3 different generations, we all see it, and that's really telling. That's so telling that we can all see it from the different. It's 20 years difference, Aaron, between me and you. That's almost 2 entire generations, and it's shocking that we can see the same thing. And I know a lot of your friends are similar, aren't they? But again, it kind of goes back
in terms of my friends, like they believe. Oh, it's hard to say, really. A lot of them do believe it.
It's probably a mixed bag, isn't it?
Just because of the so I live in the sort of neighborhood that you do. There's a lot of class here. There's a bit of wealth, but nowadays, like even the people on 250 a day are struggling in some terms because it's not going very far anymore. And so I don't know. We're all kind of in an area where the rent's really high, mortgages are really high, so people are just in their own life, and there is no freedom to get out and protest like I do and stuff like that, I guess. So it's a weird one. They believe in it, but they don't do anything about it. Maybe they will when it's on their doorstep.
Yeah, because just like, I don't know, Rich, obviously don't give your areas away, but in my area, I can go down to my local shop and it's always packed. Big supermarket. Like, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is. It's always packed. Always people there. Car park's always full. I go into my local town. There's not shops being boarded up. Everything's running fine. You got like Next and Superdry and shops in my main town. They're all okay. They're all thriving. Go to the local industrial estate where people are getting their car tyres done, all booked out, you know, cars sitting outside. Factories seem busy. Everything seems like it's very rare we see the town centre in my area is a bit shit, let's be honest. Seen a lot of pub closures in my town. I think we went from, I mean, you wouldn't believe this. My town's got like 16,000 people, maybe tops. We had at one point 10 pubs in our town. We've now got 5. So half the pubs are gone. Most converted into type restaurant things. So again, do you boys see a similar thing? Do you walk outside and feel like the country's gone to shit? Because I don't. I see it through what I do, but I don't walk out my door and see it, if that makes sense.
I don't see like the mainstream shit, but what I have noticed in recent years, because I live on an island near Portsmouth, and there were no sort of centralized companies on the island. So we had a co-op, we had a Tesco, but it was tiny. It wasn't, you had to go off the island to do your big shop. And then all of a sudden, a Domino's opened, and suddenly you saw all of these local takeaways, local restaurants starting to struggle, losing a lot of their winter business, which the island I'm on is based heavily around summer tourism. So if you don't have your core customers there in the winter, you can wave goodbye to having any sort of business here. And so with Domino's, you know, we've got so many small businesses slowly dying off, and then a Lidl came, and suddenly all the even Co-op and Tesco, they started struggling. All of the independent tiny shops started struggling, and it's that change we're starting to see. It's like we're adopting these
So you're seeing like a
big
gradual
brands.
decline.
Yeah, and these big brands, and I'll tell you what, the demographic of the people these big companies hire are noticeably different to the local area that we're in.
Mm.
So, you know, they're obviously bringing their staff in from other areas, which is fine. If they're great workers, cool, haven't got a problem with it. But it is now changing the demographic
I have.
of this tiny little island that we're at. So
I've got a massive problem with it. Why are security guards always from Africa? Just
they are all of a
curious.
sudden.
Yeah.
'Cause they get
I've got a
trained in the
massive-
hotels, don't they?
Yeah, they get trained in the hotels and they get given their SAA license. I've got a massive issue with small towns, little villages, having like half the staff in all the businesses from foreign countries. I've got a massive problem with it.
Well,
It shouldn't be
all
happening.
of them, absolutely, yeah.
It shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
It should be local jobs for local people. Local jobs for local people. That's what it should be, mate. It should be the local people who.
That was extremely
getting-
conservative and middle class of you, Rich.
It should be, though. It should be. Do you know what I mean? In the big cities, perhaps, you know, slightly different. I think it should be. How do you say this? I'm really trying to not put my foot in it.
You're not putting your foot in it because you're saying what you see, and you
Yeah.
to deny what you
Yeah,
see.
but these days you're not
It's-
allowed to, are you?
It's very different. No, you are, Sodom. It's very different for like a big bank having, you know, bearing in mind, like let's say black people, for example, yeah, from an African background. Was it 8% of the population they make up in the UK? I think it's about 8%, 9%, something like that. Why would they be getting like 20 to 25% of the jobs?
No, I
Why-
agree, 100%.
Why are all recent hires in the past 2 years 60% BAME applicants who have been
We
successful
know
in
the
getting
answer to
jobs?
that already, don't we? DEI. We know.
DEI.
the answer
We
to
know,
that.
yeah. So it shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening. And especially in little villages where it's like 99% white, the staff should be 99% white, because anything other than that is discrimination against local people, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
like that terminology instead of it being it's local people. And you're right. You're exactly right in what you said. Local people should get local
I
jobs.
always am.
But it's not. There's nothing divisive about that. It should be that way. People
sense.
locally shouldn't have to travel other areas to get jobs if there are available jobs in their own area. Well, of course, obviously, you've got to meet the criteria, but unfortunately, what we find is, again, because of DEI, people are fast-tracked through the criteria as preference over probably more skilled people to meet a DEI narrative.
Do you know?
And that's what needs to change.
You know how many migrants are being hired to every native Brit? I bet you do.
You said this last
27.
week. It's like 27 to 1, isn't it?
22, but yeah, 22 to 1.
21.
It was 27 to 1 last week when we spoke about it. I don't know if
Was it?
it's changed.
Oh, I had 22.
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
head. Well, I mean, it's pretty fucking high, isn't it? It's
Still,
you know
yeah.
what I mean, it's
22 to
still
1
too
is
much.
not an accept. If 22 is bad enough,
Yeah.
27 is even worse.
Yeah.
Like it's
not
either
honest,
way,
it's not fair.
good. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't even be 3 to 1. To be perfectly
No.
honest.
No.
2 to 1 is a problem. 2 to 1 is a problem. In fact,
Yeah.
1 to
That's
1
double.
would be a problem because they only make 9%
Yeah.
of the population. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's not,
Yeah.
it's not
It should
representable,
actually
is
be
it?
0.2 to 1. Is the reality.
I used to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, and unfortunately, I think it goes back to what we said earlier. I think we've all just, and again, like it can't be denied amongst us that I don't think any of us are living in poverty. You know, Aaron, you've got a good job as a chippy. Rich, you do what you. None of us are living in poverty, are we? We're not struggling. We're struggling in terms of probably what we think we want to aspire to be in life.
It's all the
and not
extras,
maybe
like
where-
it's
Yeah.
like investing, saving for a mortgage, like a house. It's the nicer
Exactly,
things.
mate.
It's the things. But then I think like being able to get on the property ladder, it should be a right. I think that should be
For
accessible
you,
to
yeah,
everyone, and
100%.
it's. But I've got a roof over my head. I eat every evening. I eat healthy. I eat good. I've got water. I can put fuel in my car. I can go to work. I'm living okay. It's just
Key
there's
point,
no.
what you just said there. You go to work.
Yeah, yeah. Which, I do question whether not going to work would actually allow me to have these extras sometimes because, there's more time to do online stuff but
And I've
as
told you
we've said
before,
in the
like I've
past,
said that I think in your 20s, just like don't worry about that stuff, and I still maintain that.
yeah,
I don't have any issue with someone in their 20s just saying, do you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to go on the dole and just enjoy my life a little bit. I wouldn't have a problem with a 20-year-old doing that who's actually gone out and got a qualification and can go back into an industry. Just say, right, I'm taking 6 months out. I'm going to say I can't get a job. I'm going to go on a dole for 6 months. I'm just going to enjoy myself for a bit and sort myself out. I don't have a problem with young people doing that.
a lot
I've
of
said it
people
before
are
and I'll
doing
say it
it,
again.
but
But I know you've got a good work ethic and you wouldn't.
I do have a problem with it at the moment. I think if society was great, we all had a future, we were all going to be all right in 20 years if, it carried on the way it is. And cool, yeah, have your 2-year break, go traveling, go and do what you want, go live your life 100%. But right now, we have a country to fix. We need to build, we need to be productive, we need to grow. We can't be just sitting on our ass and accepting all this money when already the economy's declining, welfare payments are outweighing our income tax. It's not an excuse. This is your country. It affects all of us. And the quicker people get off their ass and start thinking about people outside of their four walls, the quicker we can build. So I don't take that as an excuse at all. I think it's laziness and selfishness.
And I think that is a brilliant way to end this episode. I think you've pretty much summed that up there, mate.
Good. It's good to get it off my chest. People need to get to work.
So, yeah, there we go, guys. Thanks ever so much. Cracking episode. Let's hope some people watch it, and we'll catch everyone next time round.
Absolutely. See you later.